Yes, hello, audiences. Once again, thank you for joining me on another episode of Reality Unscripted. And once again, this is your host, Mr. Told You So. Once again, we are into the weekend, going into the new week, inching ourselves closer to that best time of the year. The festivities, Christmas, the best time of the year. Hopefully you all have some good plans ahead with friends and family. The best time of the year to get together with loved ones that you probably either have seen or have not seen often. And whatever you do, as I say, make sure not only do you make it an enjoyable one, but make sure you make it a healthy one, as I am a big believer in health over everything. Now, on this episode, it's kind of going to go into another phenomenon that occurs when you have a lot of peer pressure. So on the previous, or the previous two episodes, should I say, on one of the episodes I did on why it's important not to be like others and to be yourself, and from there on it was an episode that continued from there on why you should not compare yourself to others. This one here is about placebo effects. And what a placebo effect is, for the ones of you who don't know what that is, it's technically a term stating that what you perceive to actually be real is so strong that you're not actually seeing the reality of the fact that it's not. I'm going to give a few examples here so regarding that. Now, before going into that, the reason why you don't want to fall into this is a lot of it is actually just your mind telling so. And once again, a lot of it is driven by peer pressure. So that's why it's very important to actually separate fiction from reality, or vice versa. Because a lot of these things, if you don't get the facts, you start going into this never-ending circle. Right? Not like the never-ending circle with the simulation theory. It's a different type of never-ending circle, but it's kind of similar to that. This type of never-ending circle of questioning, if you want to say, or possibly even going into the reality that you might think it would be, is more of a fact that you're believing that to be true when it's actually not, based on what everyone else is stating. So it's always important to get the facts before you actually go all into it, right? It's kind of like, I don't want to compare it to something that is an apple and orange type of effect, but if you want to compare it to a poker player who puts all their chips in without too much of a guarantee that they actually have a good hand. At that point, you're technically bluffing, right? But you have it. You're just hoping with the fact that your opponent is going to bite on it, right? Even knowing that you have very little chance that your hand would win the pot. It's kind of like that. If you want to compare it, you want to make sure, if you want to compare the scenario, that if you're putting all your beliefs or thoughts into something, that there should be at least some sort of truth into it, right? Even if you don't want to make it 100%, I do believe that you should at least make it close to that, or even above 50% or so, for you to put all your thought and beliefs and thoughts, because that's a lot of energy wasted for nothing, especially if it doesn't even resemble the truth. Once again, going around in circles not only is a waste of energy, but time, and time is something you don't get back in 3D. As I mentioned in my previous episode, should I say, that's something you want to make good use of at all times. And I would say placebo effect definitely takes away from that experience. So I'm going to get into it. Now, having said that, the first example I'm going to give, right, is drinking alcohol seems to be the way to go, right? You ever go to, or if you have circles of friends or of whatnot, whether it be your close circles or whether it be your work, whatever it may be, social settings, do you notice the first thing that they always seem to go to is it discounted drinks of the night or whatnot, or they're going to get wasted for the night, right? I just find that so funny because I personally, this is me, of course, my opinion. If I were to indulge myself into something, right, I would think I would like to at least want the taste of that, whatever it is I'm indulging in. Now, no one can honestly argue with me, and I have yet to have someone legitimately give me a reason that alcohol actually tastes good. To my opinion, it always tastes the same thing. Rubbing alcohol, regardless of there being flavor or not, whether it's a flavored alcohol drink or not. I even had a discussion with a few individuals about this, and they seem to be all big into the winery, for example. And I know winery is not the same as hard liquor. But let's just take that, for example, right? Because there might be a little bit more flavor into that, considering that there's the grapefruit or fruit of a grape element to it, if you want to say. Now, I stated to the individual stated, oh, you got to go to these wine drinking events. And I'm like, well, to me, alcohol tastes like rubbing alcohol. Even though it's wine, I still can smell rubbing alcohol, regardless of there being grapes in there or not. And the individual stated that, oh, no, they're not. There's different, you gotta really taste them all the same, different ones. And I stated, no, they're not. I literally taste the rubbing alcohol in all of the wines. That's why I don't even bother to go to these things. I need to enjoy the taste. And the individual tried to sell me on the fact that I'm not enough of a connoisseur to know that. And I stated, so technically you need to be a connoisseur to overlook the taste of rubbing alcohol. And the individual didn't say nothing, right? It was the conversation was just left there, believing that there's actually a different taste into different types of wineries. Now, I'm not saying it's not true, but in all honesty, let's face it, most alcoholic drinks have the same type of smell and taste, rubbing alcohol, and regardless if you mix grapes in there or not, to my opinion, that's already enough for me to not indulge, because realistically speaking, again, you have to put things in reality, in perspective. Would you actually indulge in drinking rubbing alcohol? Like for me, just the smell of rubbing alcohol for me, I mean, the only time I like to smell it is so I really need to use it and disinfect something. Now, why would I drink that? Even if there was some sort of flavor in there, right? It makes no sense to me. Again, I do believe that it's a placebo effect because they've been taught to believe that there's actually a flavor in that. But in actuality, what's happening there, right, is when I really get the honest opinion of some individuals who actually have admitted to the reason why they've drinking alcohol is probably really the real reason. Because they believe that it opens them up. They're better in conversations for some odd reason. And they're hoping to pick someone up. Right? But will anyone pick you up if you're going to be literally tipsy? Would you actually want to go that way with someone if you're not even aware of what's happening? And I know there's the difference between tipsy and if you want to call it, lack of better words, piss drunk. But in the end of the day, don't you want to be aware of what's happening instead of, as they would call it, foggy goggles? If I could be correct or not, as the term would be for individuals who are heavy drinkers. Now, there was another individual as well then I also